Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is my Forbes colleague, staff writer Zach Everson. Zach, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me back, Brittany.
You have some updated reporting on how much Don Jr. and Eric Trump have made in stock since becoming involved in Dominari Holdings. So I want to parse through all of that, but first, can you talk to us about the firm? What exactly does it do?
So it is a holding company. Previously, it had a different name and it was a pharmaceutical company, but now it is a holding company. It's listed on NASDAQ. Its headquarters are in Trump Tower, conveniently, and it has subsidiaries that work in wealth management, investment banking, sales trading, asset management, capital investment. So it really just seems, it's got a pretty broad purview there.
And like I said, this is an update to your story back from a month ago. And I want to read one of your headlines from March. This is what you wrote. Quote, Trump's sons joined Dominari Holdings advisory board, but there's little public record the board existed beforehand. What exactly does this advisory board do?
Um, that's a great question. Unlike boards of directors, which for corporations have very specific legal requirements, advisory board can kind of do anything. In this case, when they filed their advisory agreement, Dominari Holdings said it was basically looking just to get general advice from time to time, have members of the advisory board recommend other people for the advisory board, and it might ask them to review plans and proposals. Now, in this case, the company did credit the advisory board, which had Don Jr. and Eric on it, of kind of spearheading a recent partnership they had on a Bitcoin project. So they did get some credit from doing that, at least according to the company itself.
And in your opinion, then, based on all of your reporting, why does it matter that there's such little evidence that this board existed before the Trump sons were appointed? What does that indicate to you?
It's certainly possible. I'm not saying this is definite. We didn't find any proof of this, but it certainly is possible that the board was kind of reconstituted here as a vehicle to just get the Trump involvement there. When the Trump sons' names were attached to the company, its stock price shot up from about $6 to 13 and change a day or so later. It has since fallen down, but it seems like a very easy way to attach the Trump's name to it with no real requirements for them to do much work if that's something Dominari Holdings wanted to do there.
And based on the different guidelines for what the advisory board member needs to do, I mean, it sounds like a pretty cushy position. So how much in stock were Don Jr. and Eric Trump given?
So they were given what's currently worth about $3 million worth of stock. So they got 250,000 shares for joining. And then when the company reached a milestone related to its market capitalization, didn't specify exactly what, they took in another 500,000 shares. So that gives them a total of 750,000 shares that they were awarded for joining the advisory board. And like I said, that's currently worth about $3 million. They also did purchase some shares on their own, spending another $1 million buying via private placement.
So they were given $3 million each in shares. What specifically are they doing for the company, or what are they bringing to the table that merits this much money?
Well, definitely the Trump name. As we did see that the market cap shot up when their names were attached to it, so that certainly brought some value for shareholders. And they were credited, Eric especially was credited with kind of spearheading this recent partnership. So it sounds like he is, in fact, doing some work for the company, and they've deemed, what he's done to be worth, $3 million. And they were given these shares before most of the work was done. It looks like the milestone regarding the market capitalization would have been hit within a few days of them being announced as members of the advisory board. So we're talking 750,000 shares for signing on, watching the market capitalization rise in about 3-4 days worth of time being on the advisory board, it appears.
And per usual, I'm going to ask you, are there any conflicts of interest here? Are there any ethical concerns? Because you and I talked before about how the trading volume was a lot different before and then after the Trump names were announced and attached to the firm.
Yeah, that's one of the more interesting aspects of a story that I find pretty interesting altogether. Is that the trading volume started spiking in late December. So about 6 weeks before the Trump's involvement was announced, and it was very interesting. I mean, it just really skyrocketed to levels that we had not previously seen, and I couldn't find anything that really seemed to justify the increase in volume. I reached out to some professors and legal law professors who specialize in finance. They couldn't find anything. I went through LexisNexis and Google News looking to see if there was any news about the company that justified such a spike, and I really couldn't find anything. So, it is interesting. Did news of their pending, you know, joining the advisory board get out there early? There was a Trump connection a little bit before then, in that Ron Lieberman, who's also a senior executive with the Trump board, had become a board member of Dominari Holdings in December. So it's possible, people may have just seen that name get attached to it and started thinking Trump. But it is some very strange trading patterns.
Tariffs, as we know, have sent the stock market into essentially a tailspin. Has President Trump's wide sweeping tariff plan impacted his son's share prices here? I mean, what does that look like?
It's hard to say specifically. This doesn't look like a company that has a ton of exposure to tariffs. That said, they did list tariffs as one of the risk factors in their SEC filings. Then you've also seen the stock, like many, many, many other stocks, has gone down over the last, several weeks. So it's certainly, overall market conditions are certainly going to impact what's going on with this stock as well.
When you think about the Trump's business Rolodex, you're thinking real estate, you're thinking hotels, you're thinking golf courses. Dominari Holdings announced it was entering the AI data center space. Is that something that the Trump sons have a lot of experience in?
Not until recently. Obviously, they've been involved with Dominari's work in that sector. The president has launched a meme coin that they're involved, or excuse me, the world financial coin that they're involved in. There also is, Trump Media and Technology Group, the parent company of True Social, has been starting to get into some blockchain and crypto work. So there's a little bit there, but their experience in real estate and marketing absolutely dwarfs their experience here in Bitcoin and data centers. I'm sure there are plenty of other people out there with a lot more experience than what those two bring to the table.
And as we know, AI is a rapidly developing, rapidly shifting space. What is President Trump's policy surrounding AI? Is he bullish on the industry?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that he has really been pushing for. He got a lot of backing from Silicon Valley, most notably Elon Musk, and has taken a very hands-off approach towards AI. They want it regulated, but they want it regulated lightly. He seems like he's very willing to give them what they want in that regard. So, here you've got a president who is making policies that are beneficial to this company that his sons are involved
Zach Everson, per usual, I appreciate your reporting. Thanks for joining me.
in. My pleasure.